I think so. I think there's a microphone. Is the thumper gonna sew for me? You gonna be my magical elf? Are you gonna be the magical elf who gets it all done? All of it! Get it done! You sitting like a big boy, kitty? Say hi, everybody! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Ah! Are you gonna be my little reindeer? Yeah? Yeah? Want my hair? Alrighty. Well. Hello, everybody. I am Tiffany. Welcome to my quilting life, a Christmas Eve special where we make a Christmas tree. I know it's so last minute, right? But I designed up a Christmas tree yesterday for your viewing and making pleasure today. So I made sure I put all the things you need and 90% of the instructions, other than what you see in the video, in the description box below today's video. I went all out, guys, all out. I spent last night, playing on the computer, getting things ready. All right, let's put some eyeballs on real quick so I can see who's all here. We have lots of people. Lots and lots of people. We got Betty, Linda, Robin, Linda. Wow, that's a lot of Lindas today. Somebody should be naming their Christmas baby Linda because there's lots of Lindas. Shirley, Polly, Chloe, Jean, Brenda, Jeannie, Beatrix, Barbara, Tracy, Judy, Julie, Sherry, Mary, Lori, Rena, Glenda, Sharon, Rocky, Mary, Susan, Deidre, I think that's Deidre technically, Missy, Sandy, Susan, Lisa, Joyce, Kim, and so many, many more. Merry Christmas, everybody, and welcome to today's live stream for Christmas Eve. Ooh, now, this elf Santa wants to take a second. Actually, I'm an elf Santa reindeer for you today. I have a lot of work to do. Gotta put my feet up for a second. Take a breath, and let's get started. For today's project, you only need 16 jelly roll strips. Yep, that's right, 16. So you get a whole jelly roll and make 2 quilts from this because I got one right here and I'm going to make another one. So 16 jelly roll strips and 1 3/4 yards of your background / border because technically I put that in for a border as well. This is so easy to make. Lots of numbers involved for the cutting, but really it's a Christmas tree and it goes really quick. And then the other thing you'll need is a scrap of brown, whatever color you want your tree trunk to be. Scrap it, about 7 by 7 inch scrap piece. I'm using all the teaks and every single one of these, as you can see hanging on the wall, they are Christmas colors, literally, with gold accents, which makes the tree fully decorated because it's got shiny stuff all over it. So, oh, thank you. All right. I wrote it all down because I can't see my own description of my video, but I have 1 jelly roll strip cut, and we're going to cut 14 more. So you need to cut 15, I think, jelly roll strips because I wrote that I needed 14 more. I'm like totally just whatever. So we're going to cut our background yardage into 2.5 inch strips. I'm telling you, this is so easy. Anybody, beginners can make this. And for today, I don't know why, but I like my Creative Grids Stripology ruler. You could probably find these on Fat Quarter Shop, and many more places probably sell it. They're kind of expensive, But oh my goodness, I'm totally loving using it. No, I didn't. I forgot. All right, so I'm going to line this up on my fabric. Put my fabric on the line, hit my fabric on a line. Everything looks nice and straight. And I'm going to start at 0 just to straighten out my fabric. And I'm going to put it in the slot. Come on, get in the slot. Make a nice straight cut that just lifted, which was not supposed to do that, but we're just going to reline it back up because, you know, it shifted on me. There we go. Now I'm going to cut 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, 15, 17.5. Oops, that's 17.5 right there. And 20. Look at that. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus my 9. So I have 9 jelly roll strips so far. And now to cut the rest. Let's line this back up on 0, keeping the line on my fabric nice and straight. Oops, we might have to cut a starter again because everything shifted on me. It always does that, but you know what? Just start over by cutting a nice clean edge. That's why I gave plenty of yardage for today's video. All right, so we're going to start with 2.5. So that makes 9, 10. This is 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more strip, 15. All right, so my strips are now ready to start. And last one right here. And look at that. Cutting is complete. Except for now we got to start cutting everything else. So the first thing we're going to do is take 2 strips off of our background. Telling you this goes super duper quick, especially if you like pre-cut everything. 2 strips off of the background. We're going to cut these 2 strips into 2.5 inch squares. So I'm just going to grab a 2.5 inch little ruler. I'm going to cut off my selvage and I'm going to cut down this whole strip. You should get 16 2.5 inch squares per strip. There's 2. And yes, I do cut at the fold. I'm, whatever. Because I pre-fold all my fabrics when I cut and put them on the bolts, I mean. All right, so there's that. So there's my 2.5 inch squares. We're going to set those aside because those are going to be what we use to put these corners on our Christmas tree. All right, the next thing that we're going to cut is our jelly roll strips. So find the order that you want all 16 of your jelly roll strips to be in. And we're going to start with strip numero 1. You need 1 4.5 inch piece from your first strip. 1 4.5 inch piece. And the numbers are all in the description below this video. So piece number 1 is cut. I'm just going to set this aside because we're going to use the rest of these strips later. Then your second piece is a 6.5. And sooner or later, I'm going to eventually need to use a bigger ruler and the cutting mat. So my second one is a 6.5. Okay, so that piece is now cut. And again, I'm just restacking these out of the way because we're going to use them later. The next one is an 8.5. You guys sense a theme here? We're going to switch to the bigger ruler and do 8.5. All right, third piece is done. Fourth piece, we're going to do 10 and a half. I'm just going to line it up on 10 and a half. No, I don't need to iron yet. All right, the next piece is, you guessed it, 12 and a half. So this will be the last one that I can get from rulers. Now I'm going to have to start standing up and using the cutting mat as my guide after this cut. So again, we're at 12 and a half. I'm just stacking them on top of each other, kind of just making a nice pile because we're just going to chain stitch everything. All right, then we're going to go to 14 and a half on the next strip. So I'm going to straighten out my edge, line it up on the cutting mat at the beginning on a line and come over 14 and a half.
You look like a Who girl from Whoville.
Well, that was the goal. I look like a Who girl. That's what everyone's saying. All right, the next piece is, let's see, we're on 14 and a half, so this would be 16 and a half. So I'm just going to cut my selvage off, line it up on a line. Yeah. And we're going to go to 16 and a half. And then the next piece, we're going to go to 18 and a half. This actually goes pretty quick, cutting them one at a time. Just line it up. So we're at 18 and a half. And then the next one is 20 and a half. I'm just cutting off the selvage first. Batiks really don't have much of a selvage, but I cut it off anyway. We're going to go to 20 and a half. All right, and then the next one is going to be 22 and a half. And again, all the numbers are in the description below today's video. Just hit the more button under the video and you'll see it all. Unless you're on a computer, just scroll down. All right, that was 20 and a half. So this one's 22 and a half. Line it up on a line, find my 22 and a half. Did I just do 22 and a half or did I do 20 and a half? I did do 22. So this one's 24 and a half. Sorry, guys. You know, it's a lot of numbers to remember when I just made one yesterday. But I designed this for all of you. I had everybody in mind. All right, so that was 24. So now we're at 26. I'm going to go ahead and cut the selvage off. We're going to move down to 26 and a half, which is right here. I like it when you guys help me out remembering the things that I'm not remembering. So now we're at 28 and a half. Line it up on my cutting mat. And if you don't have a yard by 24-inch cutting mat, then you could always fold your pieces in half and find the center between the two numbers. What was this again? This was 26 and a half, so we're on 28 and a half now. 28 and a half. And then 30 and a half will be this one. salvage off, line it up, find 30.5, and then 32 will be this one. 32.5. Everything's in halves, so if I just say the lower number, I'm sorry. But like I said, all the numbers are in the description. All right, so we're going to 32.5, which is right here. And then that last and final number is 34.5. I'm going to cut the selvage off and go to 34.5. Keep this blade kind of tilted down so I can fit under my machine. All right, now that all those are cut, we are going to cut our next pieces. We're going to do all the cutting first real quick. All right, all those jelly roll strips, we're going to subcut all the leftovers of this down into 2.5-inch squares. So I'm literally just going to stack them up. I'm going to start from biggest to smallest though. Just going to stack everything up. See where I cut. Just stacking everything on top of each other. And I'm going to turn all this into 2.5-inch squares. You will have some left over, not much, but a few. You could also sew these into strips and then subcut the strips into 2.5-inch pieces, but I just go ahead and stack everything up and cut it. So I think that's enough for that stack. Just going to go ahead now and straighten the one side out if I don't trip over things while I'm in the process. I have not quilted this quilt yet. My long arm is actually broken at the moment, and I'm taking it on Thursday this week to Wednesday this week to be fixed. So if you guys are in California in the San Marcos area, I thought it was Thursday, on Wednesday. So if any of you are in the San Marcos area of California, I will be there at the Sewing Machines Plus in San Marcos, California on Wednesday the 27th. I'm just cutting all this down into 2.5-inch squares. Stacking them up in the process.
Jelly roll.
I have no idea what this jelly roll is. I purchased a bunch of stuff from a lady locally who she's just downsizing and isn't quilting anymore. And so this was in that stuff that I bought. Okay. All right, so here's a whole stack so far. Let's stack up the rest and sew these.
Are we going to visit Quilt in a day while we're there?
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to go visit Quilt in a day. All right, just going to open these up, stack them on top, subcut the rest of these into 2.5-inch squares. And these are for our border, which we don't need yet, but it's nice to have it all pre-cut and ready to go. But yes, I would like to go see Eleanor Burns. Well, I haven't seen her in a few years, and she's usually in the shop, so hopefully I'll be able to go there. We'll see how the day goes and how we feel after all the driving and stuff, though, and getting my long arm fixed and so on. Okay. Make a nice straight edge on all of these. Myself this way. Again, I'm just cutting these down to 2.5-inch squares. I'm going to put this ruler back under here before I kick it again.
Rosie's Calico Cupboard is another quilt shop there, I guess.
In that same area. We don't know much about all the quilt shops in that area. And we're not going to play the jumping around to quilt shops game. We're just going to go to whatever's right there. If it's not right there, we probably won't go to it. And one more. All right, garbage pieces. And my little save scrap pile. All right, tons of 2.5 all ready for when we do our border. Now it's time to take 5 strips out of here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 strips away from those are going to be our border pieces. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to do the next numbers, which are all 1.5 inch or 1 inch increments, starting with 1.5. So right here, this piece that was left over from cutting the original 2.5s, we should have 1.5 left. Oh, we don't. Look at that. Just need 2 of them. So I'm going to have to open it up. 2 1.5 inch pieces from that. So now our 1.5 inch is done. So I have my 1.5 inch pieces. Now we're going to move on to 2.5. We just need 2 2.5 inch pieces. So we need 2 of each of these cuts because these are now the sides of each strip. So we're going to put in our corner pieces and then we're going to have our side pieces. And I did all the math for you guys, so everything should be good. So now we're going to get 2 2.5s. I'm going to lay that right here. Then we're going to get 2 3.5s. And then 2 4.5s. And then 2 5.5s. We're cutting from the same piece right here. Okay. And now we're going to move on to the next one. Save this piece right here. We're saving the pieces because we're going on to that next number. So we're getting 2, what was I at? 5.5? Yep, 5.5. So the next one is 6.5. So let me cut the selvage off of here. We're going to get 2 6.5 inch pieces. So there's 2 6.5. Then we need 2 7.5. All right, and then we're going to get 2 8.5. So pull that piece that we just had and your leftover from this one, stack them on top of each other, and cut 2 8.5 inch pieces. It'd be nice if my ruler was in the correct direction. So there's my 2 8.5. So here's my scrap from that. Now we're going to move on to 9.5. We're making the best out of all of our fabric here. So we're on 9.5. We're going to get 2 of those. And now we're on to 10.5. You should be able to get your 2 10.5s from this. And then this side got a little wonky accidentally. There we go. All right, so my 2 10.5s. We're going to move on to the next number. Oh, these 1.5s need to go over here. After 10.5, we're going to go to 11.5. We're going to get 2 11.5s from this. All right, let's find the 11.5. Save this side piece because we're going to use that. Grab another strip. After 11.5 is 12.5. Again, all the numbers are in the description. All right, so we're at 12.5. Okay, grab that previous piece that's left over and the new piece that's left over, and we're going to cut 13 and a half. Just going to stack them right on top of each other. We're going to cut over 13 and a half. So I will get 2 of those. Okay, set that aside. Next strip, we're going to cut to 14 and a halves. Which I can get from this ruler. And then we're going to cut the next piece to 15 and a halves. So my ruler is 15. I just need to come over a half. Yep. Okay, I'm trying to pay attention here. And then the next piece is the 16 and a half. Oops, turn it around. That would be nice. And then those are all ready. And now, those are my 2. Oh, I cut the selvage off. Duh. I want to come over 16 and a half, so that's 15, 16 and a half. Right there. And then one of those pieces that we set aside, just pull it out. We're going to cut this because we have lots of leftovers for our sides and bottom. We're going to go ahead and cut one 36-inch piece off of this one and one 36-inch piece off of this one, and it should still leave you with plenty for your border. So we're going to cut one 36.5-inch. I said 36, but I actually meant 36.5. So we're going to line this up, 36.5. And I know where it needs to be, which is right there. I know, awkward cutting. We're going to set that up here because right now it's not needed. And then a 36.5 from this one. So you need 2 36.5-inch pieces, and that's for the top and bottom of the quilt. There's my half. I'm just going to move this out of the way and remember that number right there. Put that on a line and make the cut. It's probably not the best way to do it, but it gets it done. And then these extra pieces that are longer, we're only going to need like 2 of them or 3 of them to do with the border. Okay. Tree trunk is a 6.5 by 6.5-inch square. So we're going to go ahead and cut a 6.5-inch square off of this. Come over, that's 6, and that's a half. Right there. And then that I can just put over here. Turn it and cut 6.5-inch square. Come on, right there. And again, all the numbers are in the description. That's 5, 6.5 right here. Okay, so there's my tree trunk ready. Last but not least, we need one 6.5-inch strip off of our yardage. This should be the last strip you need off of your yardage. So we're going to come over 6.5. That's 6. That's half. And then we're going to subcut this into 2 15.5-inch pieces. All right.
Have you been to Memory Lane Quilt Shop in Ridgecrest?
No, I've been to Ridgecrest because that's where my mom lives, but I have not been to any quilt shop there because last time we were there, we were really tired and never went to any quilt shops. I'm pretty sure my mom has. All right, so we're going to 15 and a half. So that's 15, and this is the half mark right here. 2 15.5-inch pieces for each side of our tree trunk. All right, throw that aside. And we have all of our pieces cut now. So now we're just going to move on to the sewing, which is fairly easy, and from even where you are, I'll be able to show you. So we have all of our jelly roll strips in front of us. What we're going to do is we're going to not yank on my microphone. Yes, my mom. She doesn't quilt, like she'll piece a top, but she hasn't tried quilting yet, the actual physical quilty of it. She's an all over crafty type person, so she's all over the place in the crafty world. All right, we're going to take our first strip, which is the big huge one. We're going to take 2 of our 2.5-inch squares, and we are going to snowball the corners. So I'm literally going to lay my 2.5-inch square on here, and I want to come from the inside. I'm going to do this on all of my strips. So I'm going to come from the inside right here and sew out to the corner. So I'm literally just going to tilt my piece like this and sew from corner to corner, just like that. And then I'm going to grab this other side because I want to snowball this other corner while I'm here. So again, I'm going to go from the inside out to the corner. So I'm going to remember that this is the side I want to sew on right here. And I'm going to go from the inside out to the corner. And we're just going to chain piece all of these exactly like that. So what you should have, after we cut away the excess, I'm just going to do it with scissors right here in front of you. And I'm going to finger press for now, and then I'll hand everything off to Scotty when I'm ready to press.
Oh, I can iron soon? Yeah. Can I turn the iron on then?
Yeah. All right, so I'm just going to finger press these out, and we're going to make sure that they're right in the right direction. So what you should have is one going this way and one going this way. So they are opposite directions. But you can see that's what's going to create our Christmas tree part. So if I stick this right here, you can see that that's where it's going to sit, is right here. Okay? So to make this easy on myself, we're going to remove this tree so that we could start laying the new tree out on the design wall. So this would be my bottom right there. Okay, and then we're just going to grab the next piece, and I'm going to chain piece all of one side, and then I'll chain piece all of the other side. It makes that a little bit easier, but I just wanted to show you that the direction is creating that piece that looks like this. So I'm going to put one of these on each side, but I'm going to chain piece them through like this. So I'm sewing from the middler of the strip down to the bottom corner, snowballing that on there. And I'm just going to go in order of my strips on here. And it's nice if you have diagonal seam tape or some kind of marking on your machine. It makes it easier to, do this. And I totally forgot to flip that piece. Some of these fabrics were directional, and I was trying to pay attention to it, but that's okay if it's upside down, because, well, that's okay if it's upside down. So if you have directional fabric, make sure you put it in the direction you want it. I'm just going to sew all these on, trim all the ends off, and then do the opposite sides. See, so this is a directional piece right here. I want it to be shaped like the tree, which that's the direction that it's actually in, so that's a good thing. It's already in the direction I want it. I'm just sewing from one corner to the other. It really is simple. This goes together super quick. I think even writing down measurements and numbers yesterday while I did that other one, I think I was at like 2.5 hours, and I was writing it down as I was sewing it to make sure that everything was correct for you guys. So here was a directional piece. I want to make sure that the trees are facing me in a tree manner. That way when it's on the quilt, it looks fine and normal and not upside down. All right, I'm just chain piecing them all. So you have 16 strips to chain piece. Even though I had already did the one. And it's really easy when you have it just right here next to you on a table, all of your parts and pieces, because it goes a lot faster. All right, just a few more and I'll be ready to start the opposite side. The 4.5-inch piece, which is the top part of the tree, that one is essentially a flying geese unit. You will be in 2 seconds. I just have to cut all these off. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and cut all my strips down, and I'm going to pass them to Scotty in a row in order so that he can keep them in order when he irons the piece back like this. Iron it back like that. Very nicely, okay?
These two ready?
Yep.
Okay.
And if they're not fully in order, it's okay because they taper in size, so it makes it a little easier. So I'm just going to scissor cut these away. You can use a rotary cutter or whatever. I'm just using the scissors because why not?
Oh, I didn't know you had more over.
Yeah, I'm going to keep putting them there, stacking them there for you. And now I think I got all my pieces out of order because I cut one string wrong. But that's okay because I will put them in order as soon as we are done sewing them.
Yeah.
And I'm saving all of my
Pieces you're giving me are away. I don't
little pieces to make, saving all my little cutoffs so that I can make more of my hourglasses that I've been working on for my hourglass quilt. That way I can put more in the stack. Make sure you're cutting off the right proper side of each of these as well. Yesterday I almost cut the wrong side. I was like, oh no, and I realized it, so I never ended up cutting the wrong side.
Yeah, I'm missing like a bunch of pieces.
Yep, they're right here. That's fine. I'm just snipping and cutting, and then passing to Scott. Yesterday I did all my own ironing, so you could see it probably goes faster when you hire your husband to help you.
So,
Tell him you'll give him an extra special Christmas present if he helps you make your Christmas tree tonight.
can you show another close-up?
Yeah, we'll bring the camera around while I sew the opposite sides on. All right, so the camera is going to move. Camera is going to move. I don't know who that's from, but give me a second. Right here. Aw, Diane, thank you.
She said, thank you for the creative goodness you share with us throughout the year. You are truly an inspiration to me. Happy holidays to the entire Groff family.
Aw, thank you so much. Okay. Hopefully this is good for you guys right here. The camera might wiggle just a little bit because I am on a mat that wiggles. All right, I just need some of these to start. All right, so now we're going to do the opposite side. So we're creating a flying geese unit here. You can see I have the piece in this direction now. So I'm going to go from this corner here, but you can just go from this top corner down to here, depending on if you have a machine that sucks your corners down in or not.
Is the stocking pattern available?
The stocking pattern is a video from last year on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I don't remember. Maybe it was, check out last year around Christmas videos. All right, so this one's going to go from here to here. So you can see when I push it out like this, it's going to be opposite. So we're creating little opposites. I just sew them in as long as I make sure that they're opposite of each other before I sew it on. So you can either sew it on this way, like I said, and come from the middle out, like this, to make it easier. Or you can go from the corner in. Like I have a straight stitch only machine, so it actually makes it easier for me to sew with the corners. Oops, I didn't mean to hit the camera. I can't control that. All right, so now we're going to put this on here again. Oh, Katie, thank you so much. You guys don't need to do that, you know. You don't need to do that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so I'm just going to keep going. Again, I'm just putting it whatever way I end up seeing right here. So, you know. So we're making units that are like wide flying geese. So just making sure you guys can tell. They're like wide flying geese units. So just watch your pieces as you're sewing them on. All right, I need some more pieces. It doesn't matter if they're in order right now. We're going to put them in order on the wall.
Okay, yeah.
Just
here's all the pieces.
Give them to me.
Oh.
Just give them to me. See, that seam tape really helps with doing this. I highly, Fat Quarter Shop sells it. I highly recommend using it. It lasts forever. Like, you know, you just put a piece down and it'll last a few months. I put a slit in mine for my table, you know, so that way I can remove the extension table anytime I need to, but really, it helps. So I'm just adding my opposite side to all of my pieces. And making sure, too, when I lay it up here that it's the correct direction. Because like I said, yesterday, I almost messed up. But I was in a hurry trying to write a pattern for you guys. That way it would be ready for today. I probably should have done this last week or the week before or something, but it's a Christmas Eve special for us to make a tree together. And the video will always be here, so if you want to make yourself a Christmas tree next year, just reference this video, and all the directions will be in the bottom of the video always. And again, I'm using all batiks. They lay nicely for me. I like using batiks. It's one of my favorite kinds of fabrics. They sew nicely, they press nicely, you know, it's just like super nice fabric. All right, I'm throwing you the new sides now, Scotty. Okay. So I'm just scissor cutting them literally right here where I sit about a 1/4 inch or whatever seam allowance. I'm just making sure I'm cutting off the hanging side, not the actual strip side.
Okay, back to iron. All these?
Yep. I just stack these up because I save them.
Side, right?
Yep.
Piece of cake.
So you can see I'm not always straight with my 1/4 inch cuts. I do have shaky hands, so it makes it a little bit harder. Darn that MS. Sometimes it gets in the way, especially with scissor cutting. All right, almost done with this step, and we're going to move on to the next step, which is going to be laying our tree out so we know what order that we're sewing our end pieces on, because we have now randomly gotten all these out of order, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. All right, last one, which is my little top flying geese unit. Just putting those over there in a pile. As you can see, my top one is a flying geese unit with a 1/4 inch seam allowance right there, so that my top of my tree has a point. All right, there's all those. While we're waiting on Scotty, we're going to take our tree trunk piece. We're going to take our tree trunk piece and we're going to take our 15.5 inch pieces, and we're going to put those right sides together. That was that way, so this is this way. Okay. We're going to put these right sides together, one on each end, so that way our tree trunk is done. We're going to use a 1/4 inch seam. I'm also going to make sure that I am at a 1/4 inch, because it makes it so much easier for me. So I line a ruler up, I put my needle down in front of that 1/4 inch, and I just line everything up, and it's nice and straight. I don't really follow the 1/4 line on here because I can't hold the fabric on the line very well. So I'd rather use my magnetic seam guide. So I'm going to open this up. I'm just pressing it away from the trunk towards the outside fabric. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the other side, the other 15.5 inch piece to this. All right, so that part is done. And we're going to go ahead and put that on the wall, and then I'm going to move the camera. All right, this camera's moving, camera's moving. You can see Thumper stole the seat again. He always steals Scott's chair. All right, so we're going to build this tree now. Sorry for the shaking of the camera, guys. I can't get it to, there we go, right there.
Quilting my last 7 quilts for Christmas gifts. Change the needle and my thread keeps breaking.
Change the needle and your thread keeps breaking. Well, it's probably your thread, honestly. All right. Once he has all these pieces pressed, then we can move on.
I have all but like 3. What do you need?
All right.
There's 3 left. Go.
Oh, I can't do anything until I can stack from the bottom up, because I can't judge size. So we're going to have this 36 inch strip. One of them, this is the bottom, it goes under the tree trunk. So we're going to go ahead and attach that real quick to the tree trunk, because like I said, this goes really quick. So I'm going to attach this with a 1/4 inch seam to the tree trunk. It should be exactly the right size, even though it's not been pressed. It's only been finger pressed, and it's going to lay nicely. I'm just going to make sure my seam is the way I pressed it with my finger. And you can see it's exactly 36 inches. All right.
What do you need me to do?
Press this back really nicely, please. Well, I'm going to take all those right now. All right, so here's this for you to press back. And we're going to start building our tree with all of our parts now.
I had a few in order. You put everything out of order.
Yeah, it's all out of order.
Well, I was helping. I didn't
And
do
it
it on
all
the floor.
fell on the floor. All right.
I was
The next
helping.
size, we're going to find all these sizes and start stacking this up. Is this one bigger than that one? That one is bigger. So is it this next one? Yep, it's this next one. So they're an inch shorter than each other. Every single strip is 1 inch shorter than the previous strip. So I think this one's not next. It's a red one that's next. Aha. So there's this one. We're just going to lay them out. If you keep them in order, though, like I initially was trying to do, it should be easier. All right, then there's red. And we're going to make sure that the wide part of our background piece is facing up. As you can see, I have my background with the wider part on the top. That's how you know you got it right if you're tapering your tree and it makes jaggedy edges. That's the next one, so we need a red one. Here, I tried to mix it up green, red, green, red. I didn't have as many reds, obviously. That's the next one, so it's probably this red right here. Nope, that's the next one. It's this red right here. And then this one, and then this one, and this, and 2 more, 3 more. Right there. Right here. And the top of the tree. And then we're going to put the bottom part that we've already sewn down there at the bottom. It's nice to have a design wall or design floor to do this. Now we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So we're going to grab all those strips that we cut in 1 inch increments. So 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, so on and so forth. I'm going to grab the 2 1.5 inch pieces. Scotty, can you press these flat real quick? See how they have a lip? Can you get them flat? Because I cut them at the fold. All right. Well,
how did you do your design board? Is it attached?
It's just tacked to the wall and kind of shoved behind the 2 shelves. It is only a 70-inch by whatever inch piece of batting. It's just batting. And when it gets dirty enough, you know, from laying quilts on it, then I'll load a scrap quilt on. I'll use it to load on the long arm and put my actual design wall, which I haven't bought the parts for yet, up. All right. No. Well, actually,
yes.
No, they're flat. There's not at the fold.
It's got a crinkle. A big old wrinkle. What?
Okay. We're going to start with our 1.5 inch pieces. One is going to go on each end of our bottom biggest strip. So 1.5 inch goes from the bottom, then the 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 up. Okay. So remember, the bottom gets the smaller pieces. So we're going to put one of these on each side. These you can chain piece through just by turning the unit just like this and sliding it through. So now you're on 2.5, so that's the next piece. Each piece goes on each side. So we have one for this side and one for the other side. We're going to chain piece these through. It's very easy. So just grab the opposite end, turn it around. It doesn't really matter which way it goes because it's a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square. So you know, automatically. And I'm just chain piecing, creating these little loop things. So the next one is 3.5. So I'm going to go and grab these 3.5 inch pieces, one for each side. 1/4 inch seam. Grab the other side. 1/4 inch seam. Now grab your 4.5 inch, your next piece. I know we just laid it there, but on the wall, we're already taking it back down again. Grab that other side, attach the other side piece. And this would bring all of your pieces to 36 inches. All right, can you press this fold out, please, real quick?
Can you make the tree in different colors?
You can make the tree however you want. You can make it an Easter tree. You can make it a spring tree. You can make it scrappy. However you want to make it. It does not have to be a Christmas tree. If you just want a nice big tree to hang up or use as a lap quilt in your room or wherever in your house, go for it. I'm not stopping you. We just did this for Christmas. Some of these I cut at the fold, so I have to pass them to Scott to straighten them for me. All right, so I'm going to grab that next size, grab this next size off the wall. Again, I'm just putting one piece on each side, right sides together. It's kind of hard with batiks to know right side, wrong side, honestly. They're about just as sharp colored on each side. And my other tree, you would have never known if I had any backwards, so. All right, grabbing that next size, one on each side. I don't know what number I'm on, but I'm on it. It looks like I'm on like a 7.5 inch piece. Yep, look at that. I could judge just by looking at it. All right, we're gonna grab that next one, which is 8.5. Grab this next one. Oops, hold on, out of bobbin. So I had a ghost sew in there. Got to pay attention to the bobbins too while we're at it. So make sure you roll at least 3 bobbins just to be safe. You know, I always try to have one more than you really need. All right, so let's bring this back here. I got 2 ghost sews. Let's put this under here. The whole unit was a ghost sew. Straighten it back up because now it's like all wonky from not being sewn and piled up behind me.
Anything else to be behind?
All these in a minute.
Huh?
All these will be in a minute once I start snipping them apart.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, again, which piece goes on which side, as long as it's the right size for that specific piece. All right, grab that next size, which is the 9.5. Grab this next one. So it goes from small number to big number on the way up. Just remember that. On the way down, the actual Christmas tree itself goes from big number, or small number to big number, from top to bottom. The next. And I'm just going to pass these to you to, here, you have your own snips still?
No, you keep stealing them.
Oh, well, I don't know where they went now, so
Well,
here's a pair.
stop stealing my stuff.
Grab that next unit. And they're going to get tighter and tighter to turn, so if you don't, want to do that, you could always just do one side of everything, each number, and then go and do the next side. Because I'm not going to be able to flip and turn all of these because they're getting smaller as I go. So I'm pulling that next one out. So again, like this one is gonna be cutting it close on this turnaround, but the next one I won't be able to, I'm pretty sure of it. So what I'll do is I'll cut thread in between sewing them, but I'm still chain piecing. So we're gonna grab this next one. Trying to keep these all still laid out in a row. Grab this next one. Put it right sides together. I'll cut thread because I can't turn it around, and then go ahead and put the other side on. So essentially they're still all chain pieced together. So let's grab the next one off the wall, the next big number from here, one on each side. Snip thread, pull it away, turn it around, grab the other side. All right, next one, next size, right sides together. And again, all these strips are going to come out 36 inches. So I'm going to turn it around, put the other side on. Grab the next and the next so that I don't have to reach up there. Oh, okay. All right, so now I'm going to right sides together on this one. Breaking the thread, which is okay because I have a, thread break on my machine, but pressing the pedal. And last one is my 4.5 inch top piece with my 16.5 inch side pieces. So one on each side. Turn it around, attach the other side, and then we're going to hand all this off to Scott and restack our tree again. It's going to be back and forth on the wall over and over and over again. So I'm just going to snip these apart for him, make it easier. That way they're ready when they get to him. All right, so there's all that. Now it's time to re-put our tree back on the wall. So we're going to start with our bottom piece, then grab the next size. And since we're waiting for Scott to press, we're going to make sure that those are the correct sizes. And I'm going to show you guys how to sew strip units together, because this is essentially what it is strip units. So I'm going to come bring the camera over here again, and I'm going to speed through these one after the other. So let me bring the camera over here now. So the camera is going to move again. Sorry guys that I don't have the best camera setup, So camera is moving back over here to the side, and I'm going to show you guys how to strip piece these really quickly like. All right, so I'm going to grab the tree trunk and the piece above it, and we're going to put those together first. So they're exactly the same size, so you shouldn't have anything to worry about. We're also going to make sure while we're here that the widest part of that flying geese cutoff or that snowballed corner is towards the top. It's always facing up. That way we know we're putting our pieces in the correct direction. That's where the wall or the floor comes in. And we're just going to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. I'm not pulling or tugging anything. I'm just continuously running it through. As you can see, I have my one finger, the top part goes over it, and then my middle finger is on the bottom, and my thumb can adjust the top. And I hold it down here away from the machine. I don't pull or tug anything, and I just let it run all the way, lining up the two ends, making sure I'm holding them nicely. Coming all the way down. And then this is ready for Scott to press. And you can press it up or you can press it down, whatever you want. I pressed all of the seams up towards the tree. So I'm just going to finger press it for now because we still got to stack the tree parts back up. All right, so this for now I'm just going to set aside for Scott, and I'm going to grab those next two pieces. We're going to put them right sides together on the wall. Yes, they do. Oh, no? I thought you were laying these out nicely for me, Scotty.
How did I get them laid out, honey? You keep messing with them.
Okay, so I'm going to put the tree trunk back. I have to re-put these in order, my friends, because Scott is a slow ironer.
That's why.
All right. So I'm going to restack these. This should be a red right here. I guess I can just put you guys back where you go in a minute, or I can just leave you right where you are.
At the top there. Here, cut all those. You want to do something. You stole my scissors from me.
Okay, well, that was already cut. That was already cut. That is already cut. That's already cut.
Okay, which ones did I iron and which ones didn't I? Why would you put mine up?
Not ironed.
Okay.
Okay, I'm restacking my tree, my friends. Something is odd about this stack right here. Another piece goes between it. Let's see which one. That's the top. It's closer to the top. Okay, we're just waiting on all these pieces.
Oh, really? I'm waiting on stuff to be cut. You just keep making it like it's me. I handed you stuff to cut. You give back to me uncut.
Okay, that's going to go above that. No, it's not.
You're messing with me, woman. It's Christmas. You're not supposed to mess with husbands.
That's going to go above that. Sorry, guys, you're stuck at the machine for a minute.
That's the very top.
This is the next one. We're going to start sewing these in sets of 2, by the way, as soon as they are ready. Back on the wall again. Right. And this one, and I'll show you the wall in 2 seconds. It's almost complete.
Why don't you move the camera now? You're waiting on me.
Well, no, because I'm still showing them how to sew. That's why the camera's still on this side.
Oh.
How to do the speed sewing. Yep.
Here you go. You're the one that's Russian.
Okay, and one more. All right, so we're going to look at the wall real quick. We're going to make sure that our tree is tapered correctly. And it is. So those 2 bottom pieces right here are already connected. So we're going to take it 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2, and hook them all together. And then this top one's piece will be that 36.5-inch piece. So let's go back to the sewing machine right here. And we're going to start sewing these together. I'm just going to grab them in sets of 2 off the wall, sew them together, and chain piece the whole lot of it. They should all be exactly the same size. Yep. You're going to wait a second, though, until I sew some of them. All right, so I'm lining up my ends. And I have my fingers on the piece. And I'm just continuous stitching. Till I get my other side, line the 2 ends up, making sure that everything is good. And if it's not, you can trim your tree. I mean, because not every tree is perfect, you know. So I'm going to grab the next 2 and put those right sides together. I'm going to make sure the side that I need to sew on, which is this side, and then rush those through, one right on top of the other. And I can continuously sew. This is how I do jelly roll race quilts so fast. Matching up my 2 ends. Grab the next. Make sure you have the side that you want to sew. Run the next ones through. And I'm just using my fingers to line the pieces. Don't sit on them because that makes it harder to sew them. Yeah, I was yanking underneath my foot, underneath my leg. I was like, what? Why isn't it going? It's starting to stretch. Lining it up, sewing 1/4 inch seam all the way down. Grab those next 2, pay attention. And once we have them in all sets of 2, then we're going to sew the 2s into 4s and so on and so forth. Oh, I'm so glad you guys got everything that you ordered this year on time, before Christmas even. Grab those 2 ends, make sure that they're together, just hold them nicely. Grab the next 2. Everybody always wonders how I get quilts done so fast. Jelly roll quilts. Anything that has 2.5-inch strips, I'm pretty quick at those. I don't know why. I learned how to sew like this continuously. Not even on this machine. I actually taught myself on another machine, my old brother machine. Okay, grabbing the next 2. I have to stand now to grab them off of the wall, and then we're going to press them all after this. Again, those ends should match right up. Just hold them nicely. All right, 2 more, and then we're going to grab, after this set that I'm going to sew, we're going to go ahead and grab that other 36-inch top piece and connect that to the top of the, above the flying geese unit. Thank you guys. It's called French Raspberry is the color of my nails. I thought it would look nice for Christmas. I tend to do red colors around Christmas time. All right, so I'm just going to grab my flying geese unit and my 36.5-inch piece. We're going to sew those together, same as we did with that bottom below the trunk. Making sure that my seams going the way I want them to. I'm going above my flying geese unit so that I can still have my point, because I want to make sure that my flying geese unit still has the point, you know. Now I'm going to go ahead and snip all these apart and then press them. You turn the iron back on, and I'm just going to go ahead and press these to, you know, be quick about it.
Oh, you don't want me to do this?
So I lost my point, but guess what? I don't care. So you just watch that when you come across with your 1/4 inch seam right here. You could do it from the back side. Just make sure that that second stitch is in front of the V shape, not behind it, but whatever. I really don't care because I'm not a perfectionist and I've never cared about those kind of things. I mean, if it was really, really noticeable, I would be like, oh, I'm going to fix that. But this is not very noticeable.
You want this up here for ironing or no?
No, I don't need it. I'm just going to go ahead and press these all with my finger before going to the iron. And I'm just pressing them all up towards the upper piece. It's going to make things so much easier. And I'm just going to now snip them all apart and take them to the iron because the finger pressing is taking too long. You know me. I'm speedy. What? What time tomorrow? Tomorrow is a random live, so you just have to have your notifications on to know, because technically you aren't going to know until I'm live. I don't know what time because I do have to make a lot of enchiladas. And that
a lot every year.
I make a lot every year. It goes quicker and quicker every single year, but all right, you're going to put the camera back the other way so we can put the tree back on the wall every time I press a piece?
No, I'm putting the monster.
Oh.
The Christmas monster. Christmas fluff ball.
Yeah.
You want it back over there?
Yeah, you can put it back so we can start stacking this tree. Okay, so I'm just going to put it like way high because I cannot, you know.
He knows I'm looking at him. He's staring at you. Daddy's watching me.
And then once I get this pressed, we'll hook them into sets of 4 and then so on and so forth. And don't mind my butt. Scott reminded me that my seam doesn't match on my booty on my pants. It looks kind of funny. He's like, you know that the pants don't line up, right? It's funny.
You like it?
Why can't they ever make Christmas clothes line up properly? You know? But it's in a factory and they're probably sewing them super quick like I do. All right, so we're just gonna keep stacking them. Press, stack, and then sew. And then press and stack, and then sew. Over and over and over until it's all ready. Usually I have problems with glitter on batiks as well, but this isn't the kind of glitter that's making a mess. This is just sparkly, shiny stuff on these batiks. So I'm not really worried about it gunking up an iron or anything like that.
You're saying you should put little ornaments in the store on top of the tree?
You could put whatever you want above your tree. I am not going to do that, but if you want to build a star block for up above your tree, go ahead and do that. I would say make it a 6.5 inch, or a 6 inch finished star, but a 6.5 inch block, you know, before it's finished. I would make sure to do it that way. That way you can not run this top piece up here and actually put a 6.5 inch star with a 15.5 inch piece on either side and then put a piece above it. So if you want to do that, sure, go ahead. You can just make any plain star as long as the block, you can make it a sawtooth star or an 8-pointed star, however you want, as long as your block is, I would say, 6.5 inches once it's sewn together. And then once it's in the thing, it'll finish at 6. Like where I'm going there? I'm not trying to confuse you guys, but so one said star, and I'm not adding a star. I actually had more pieces towards this jelly roll, but I didn't use any of those. So if I wanted to add a star, I probably could have because I had plenty of jelly roll strips. Yes, I have a video on how to make my enchiladas. It's a really old video. It's like 5 years old, but it's there and it shows you how to do it. And all the ingredients that I usually use. Some years we switch it up and grab different brands, but that's only because it's on sale or something. Yeah, this year we're only using green sauce because the red is not happy. My body, Scotty's body, we're just getting too old for red sauce and we don't do spicy, so. All right, all of my pieces are here. Now we're gonna sew them in sets together. So I'm gonna sew these 2 together, these 2 together, these 2, and these 2, and then so on and so forth. So right sides together, grab your pieces, and sew on down. Same procedure, I'm just gonna go super fast. All the way down. Making sure everything stays lined up, and it is. I'm not pulling or tugging anything. Everything is the exact same size. I do have to adjust that one right there. All right, so I'm going to grab the next 2. Sew on down, and then I just keep over and over until the whole entire unit is done. And then the next thing we're going to do after this is we're going to piece our first border together from the leftover jelly roll strips. That goes pretty quick as well because we pre-cut all those 2.5-inch squares. So it's just a matter of sewing 2 sets of 21 together and 2 sets of 23 together. I think. Ooh, don't move, right there. Oops, I separated it. But that's okay because we could just press these and sew these together since I already snipped them apart. So I'm just pressing it back real quick. And if it starts to get bowy or wonky, you can always sew in a different direction. So like, and 2 rows you sew this way, the next 2 you can sew the opposite way. Just make sure you're paying attention to what side you're sewing on if you're doing that. But I did not find yesterday to get wonky, and so far today is pretty flat as well. So I'm not having any issues with my rows getting wonky. All right. And I'm sewing everything in the same exact direction. So, and the quilt's laying flat. That's one thing about batiks though. I think they're a little bit more forgiving when you're sewing them. Lining up my 2 ends, holding everything flat. Run the next 2. See how quickly this goes together? Once everything is cut, you guys always say, you get things done so quick. Well, you can too. This tree is an easy afternoon tree.
What size is
The tree trunk is a 6.5 by 6.5 inch square. Can they even? Yeah, that's just because it's a scrap piece. I made sure that it was a 1/2 inch bigger than all 4 sides than it needed to be. That way, in case you didn't find a scrap, of whatever size, just made sure that your scrap was around 7 by 7 because it made it a little bit easier to have a bigger scrap piece than you really needed. Okay, I'm going to separate these, press them back. them on the back on the wall. Yes, the instructions, I made sure, just like there's extra yardage added in there, I made it 1 3/4 inch, or 1 3/4 yards needed to make this. In reality, it's just a couple inches bigger than it needs to be in case you have boo-boo cuts like I do every now and then, or if you have to re-straighten the fabric or whatever. But again, it's less than 2 yards needed of background fabric for the whole entire thing. All right, now we're going to sew the sets of 4s into 8s. So I'm telling you, this is so quick. So quick. Yep. So I'm just going to line these up. The bigger they get, the harder it is for me to continuously sew. Not that I don't try, because I definitely try to continuously sew. But sometimes you just have to stop, and you can pin if you need. I'm not a pinner, so I don't even bother with that step, but I do try to hold my pieces nicely and keep them flat. And then these two go together. So I'm telling you, all of you, if you want to try this, you can do this in an afternoon. You can do this overnight and have your tree ready for tomorrow. You can simple straight line quilt it, stitch on each side of the ditch. Really easy. This is a very easy pattern that I came up with for you guys for a tree. All right, so now I'm gonna press these. Just pressing everything all in the same direction. Just every single piece that I add is being pressed upward. So we're just gonna go ahead and put this right there. We're gonna grab this one, press it. And I could have made smaller pieces, but I kind of liked the look of it being jelly rolls on the side. But I could have made the tips smaller in size, so that way you're adding big chunks to the sides. And what I mean by that is I could have made all this equal right here and then had a big chunk on the sides, but I actually liked having this pieced piece because we're going to be putting the borders on it. So all right, we're going to attach these two pieces together now, and then we'll put the trunk and last row on, and then the tree itself will be ready. All we need to do is piece the borders. Just making sure that I'm holding it nicely. Line up my two ends. Again, they should match right up. Straighten everything out. And before I press this, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the bottom and attach that. I'm going to put the bottom of the tree with the trunk and last tree piece on this other side, and then I'll take it and iron it, and then we'll start sewing the border pieces together. And you don't have to do the border pieces if you don't want. You can just use your straight leftover jelly roll pieces, but I think the border kind of frames it really well, so that's why I went with that route instead of making something else. Or putting the pieces on directly. All right, I'm going to press this and then we'll start working on the next step.
Background fabric also?
Yes, the background is batik. This whole entire quilt top is a batik quilt top. Everything is batiks. It went well with the shiny stuff. That's why I used it. With the shiny, sparkly stuff that's in the Jelly Roll strips. All right, I now have a nice flat tree. So we're just going to hang this. Oops, sorry for hitting the mic, guys. I'm going to hang this back up temporarily. Just like this. So you guys can see. That's how easy it is to make just the tree. So you could stop here and just put a border on it, or you can just bind it as is. You'll have a nice size wall hanging. But again, this is a wall hanging or a lap quilt. So we're going to add the next two borders by sewing our squares together. So I'm going to choose 21. Let me make sure. Where's my little cheat sheet? Where did I write it on there? 23 and 20. So I'm going to choose 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to move these around a little bit. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then we're going to do that again. And then two piles of 23. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. It's 36 inches this way by, I forgot that way, because we purposely made it 36 inches this way at this point. So from top to bottom. Yeah. Yes, Eric made that thing for me. That was last year. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
42.
42. So it's 42 by 36 if you just do the tree only. Now I forgot my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So two piles of 20 and two piles of 23. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. And then you'll have quite a few left over, and I have quite a few left over from the other one. So I can sew all these together and create another Christmas quilt. So now I'm just going to sew these all through in sets of 2 and sets of 4 and sets of, so on and so forth, 8 and 16 and blah, blah, blah. This part goes quick. So I'm just going to chain piece them through, no particular order. I'm not paying attention to the direction. I'm only making sure that my sparklies are facing right sides together, because that's how I know on these that they are right and wrong side out. That way I know. And then when you go to press them, you just press one long continuous piece, and they're going to attach to the quilt so easily because they are 2.5 inch, and the spaces between all of here, they're going to nest in between everything. So everything's going to nest up really nicely and look good. Oops, I'm trying to put sparkly side to sparkly side, and I'm totally talking and almost sewing them the wrong way. That's what happens when I'm distracted. Trying to do two things at once. Don't forget to hydrate. Get up, move around, stretch. Sorry for the microphone making noise, guys. It's starting to like yank funny. All right, right sides together. Right sides together. And on this last one, I just go ahead and open it up and add that next piece on there. We're going to press these all in the same direction because the two sides, everything is pressed up. So if I press all these in the same direction, then I can nest all of my side seams. All right, so I know that ends with 3, so I'm just going to put this next, I'm just going to start sewing the next ones in, and I'll end them the same exact way. And that way I can keep continuously sewing these borders and get them done pretty quickly like. Because the last and final border only takes a second. You just have to sew them together and sew them on. If you guys hear honking, it's only because the neighbor's car alarm or something is going off. Oh, okay. I don't know how well or how whatever the camera actually picks up the microphone actually picks up the sounds around me. I've always wondered that, and I sometimes go back and rewatch my own video because of a sound issue. Like if you guys told me I had sound problem, I'd go and check. But other than that, I really can't fix anything if the sound is messed up after the fact. So I'm just going to cut thread, press this, add this to it, and then start sewing the sets of 20. Telling you, this goes so fast. Once you start, it's so easy to get done. And I'm so glad I was able to, write it out for you guys. I took the time to do that. And then you have the video to watch how it all is assembled, which is good. I can't guarantee I'll do that with every live stream though, because that's a lot of extra work. I was up pretty late. Well, I wasn't up pretty late for just that. I was up pretty late, period.
Did you do a small border first, then you wouldn't have to worry about nesting?
No, I actually you could do a small border first so that you wouldn't have to worry about nesting. Just remember, if you add another 2.5-inch border first, that you're going to change the amount of squares you're going to need. I like to nest them because I want them to lay flat, and if you nest all the seams, they lay so much flatter. And just so that I know where I am, I'm actually going to connect this bottom 2 pieces so that I remember that these are my bottom. That way I know that this is my set of 20 right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my next set of 20 through. And then we'll put them into 4s and then press everything all in the same direction. And again, you could have strip pieced all these together. That's up to you. That's your own personal choice, but all the strips were tapered in size, so it would have made strip piecing a lot of scrap extra waste. So honestly, this way, just making the squares and sewing together was probably the better way. But it's your quilt. You do as you wish and what's easiest for you at the time of making it. Just know that there are options. sparkly sides. Pay attention. And one more. All right, so I know this is my first set of 20 right here, all the way until I get to that 4. So I'm going to hook all those together. We're at this one, and I know that the 3-piece unit is where I'm going to stop for my second set of 20. So there's that 3-piece unit.
I could cut them while you do something.
No, because I'm just doing them all right here at the machine. So when I get to that next 3-piece unit, I'll know that that's my...
Am I ironing or anything?
I will iron them as soon as they are ready to be ironed. So now we're just going to put these in 4s, 8s, 16, blah, blah, blah.
You know what the name of the jelly roll strip you're using?
I have no idea the name of the jelly roll. It didn't have the outside wrapper on it. It was just the strips all on their own. Like they were still kind of hooked together, but I bought it from somebody. So it had already been opened. It looked like they only took one strip out. Sometimes that happens. And yeah, so I just, but I bought a bunch of fabric from a lady, so, and this was in it. So I don't know the name of it, unfortunately. I wished I did, but I don't. And I really don't care the order, as long as all these are mixed around, which they seem to be pretty mixed up, which is good. Oops, don't move with it. All right, separate this one, attach this to it. Separate that, attach this to it. Just kind of finger pressing for now. When I finger press, I'm pressing towards the right, which that way all of them will end up towards the right when I go to hook them on. And again, it doesn't matter which side I hook it on. I'm just kind of twisting and turning and hooking it all together.
Your trunk is cut at 6.5.
Yep, the tree trunk is 6.5. All the directions are in the what is it called? The bottom of this video, the description.
Description below.
Yep, in the description below. Everything is down there. Well, I'm pretty sure everything is in it. All right, so here's one unit. That's the 23 right here. So all I'm going to do is take this to the iron and push everything all one way. This will be our top and bottom because it's 20 for the sides.
Well, that's why you're going to iron.
All right, so now I'm just going to hook all these together now. So I'm just going to continuously sew until all of my pieces are together. Like I said, it goes pretty quick once you start. Because you're not making like a whole bunch, you're just making 4 strip units. Honestly, it goes pretty quick. Separate. And this. Snip all these apart. Hook them together. I'm not really caring which way they go, as long as they are all one continuous long piece. this and attach this to it. And here's another 23 piece for our top and bottom. Top or bottom, it doesn't really matter. All right, so now to just put all these together. Oh, those are the same. I don't want the two same ones at least next to each other. I don't mind if they're similar in color, but I definitely don't want the same. All right, connect this one to this. Snip. Hook them all. Grab and these are going to be the sides. And add that last one on here. Okay. So here's one of the sides. And then this is the last one. And then all we have to do is sew our other border pieces together as well to create a long strip for our assembly of the last steps. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Christmas Eve hanging out here with me. I totally appreciate all of you being here, watching, and putting aside all your family and friends because I'm important today. Just kidding. Your family and friends are in the background going, "What is that lady talking about?" Like, I'm done. You need to stop watching Tiffany. She's getting involved in things that she shouldn't be. Just kidding. I know I'm silly, right? Oh, but hopefully you guys are enjoying time with grandkids, especially tomorrow for Christmas Day. And time with, well, I don't know what else people are spending time with. Grandkids, kids, sisters, brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, you know, all of it. Just everybody having a good old time. All right. These are all most complete. What?
I have a brother for the life of me. I can't use 100% cotton quilting thread. Only polyester works. Any suggestions?
A brother machine only liking polyester. I can tell you from experience, some machines are just picky. This one likes one thing that that other one over there doesn't like, which the other one over there doesn't like, which the other one over there likes. Like it 100% depends on the sewing machine. So if you can use poly, use poly. There is no rule saying that you have to use 100% quilting cotton thread every single time. If your machine likes one brand and it runs smoothly, I say go for it. Buy it, use it, sew with it. All right, since all these are facing up, I'm going to make sure that my seam is facing down. Oh, was I off one? I was off one. All right, that might be my top and bottom then. I don't know which one I'm doing. We'll see right now. I'm just going to press them all to one side though. These might be my top and bottom, not my sides.
See, you could have let me iron it.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that would be my top and bottom. Yep. So these are my top and bottom pieces. Like that. These are my sides. I knew it looked weird. I made sure I counted yesterday and wrote it all down. right. This right here on this side. Aha. No, that's too long. Why is it too long? What did I do wrong? I talked. That's what I did wrong. One extra on that side. One extra. I don't know. I must miscounted. We're going to just rip whatever off if we have to and add to the other side. Pretty sure I wrote it in the directions. But I probably just now miscounted. All right, we're going to put this here like that, and we're going to see. Yep, I just put 1, 2 extra pieces that weren't needed. So let me rip those off. I don't know how I did that one. I really wasn't paying attention when I was counting, but then other numbers were being flung around too while I was trying. I'm just ripping 2 off. I should have the correct numbers though in the thing. And if you don't get it, just lay them on there and go for it. Make one really, really giant long row. All right, we're gonna rip off 2 on this side. Yeah, I definitely was not paying attention to my counting. All right, put those over there, put that there. I'm gonna make sure that these are flat because I can use these later for my other piece of whatever it is I do with my scraps. All right, we're gonna sew one side on, and then the other, and then the top, and then the bottom. Yep, all right, so I'm just gonna nest these seams. Like I said, if the sides of your tree seem a little jagged, go ahead and take this to the cutting mat and straighten your sides. Mine are fine. So I am not worried about that at all. Just gonna nest these up and make my way down. That one seam is going one way, one is going the other, and they should nest right up. I'm gonna top or back stitch as I go. I'm just going to make sure each seam is nested as I get to it. And just make sure everything stays nice and square. Again, nesting it, sewing to the next one. Nest that seam. I'm just bumping them right up to each other. This helps with keeping everything nice and square and flat and so on and so forth. And you can feel each one as you get to it. If you pressed your whole entire tree up, then you just lay these with the seams facing down. The best place to get Aurifil thread? I don't know because I actually don't buy it. I right now am on a kick of using Essentials brand thread from Connecting Threads. Oops, we ran out of bobbin. Let's change that real quick. I told you it's good to have a couple pre-wound bobbins. Excuse me. But yeah, I've been on a Essentials thread and then Missouri Star thread also. So those are what I've been using. All right, in that area, that's 6.5 inches, just nest that furthest down seam, and those other 3 should line right up. And it should be exactly the right size. So I'm going to go ahead and press these towards those little squares. And then we'll attach the other side. Okay. So that's on there. You can see they nested really nicely. It lays super flat. We're going to take this side now and put this side over here. Sewing from the bottom up now. I'm just going to nest those seams as I come to them. Ooh, you know what? I need to replace this bottom piece because when I seam ripped it, it actually ripped the fabric. That's the one thing you got to be very, very cautious of with batiks is seam rippers can rip the fabric. I'm just going to replace this piece real quick down here because it's got a nice rip and it's above my 1/4 inch seam allowance, so I definitely don't want it to have a hole in my quilt. Being very careful about this seam ripping right now.
You don't want to do it again.
Yeah. Come on, just right there. That's the only thing about batiks that I don't like is they do rip really easily, and the holes are a lot harder to get rid of. But you can see right here, my whole end, that 1/4 inch seam is absolutely missing. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw this new one to the end. Okay, and then put the seam in the direction I need it to go. Get a back stitch. And there we fixed that problem. Good thing I saw that now. All right, so now I'm just gonna go to each seam, make sure that they're laying on, button up to each other nicely, all the way this way now. And try not to sew my fingers in the process. Almost to the other end. Just nesting each seam as I go. They lay pretty flat, and if you sewed a 1/4 inch seam continuously through the whole entire thing, it should be exactly the right size in between each piece. Okay, so that one's on. Let's press that back and then add the top and bottom, and then we'll just have one more border to put all the way around. And if you want to keep making it bigger, you can go ahead and add another border if you want. I was going to in the initial one, but then I stopped because my border, or the fabric I chose, is a directional print, and I may not have enough unless I miter the seams. Or miter the borders. So now I'm just going to go ahead and grab off the wall. The next piece, we're going to lay it on top. It should be exactly the same size from one side to the other. We're going to go ahead and sew this one on. This one has no seams to nest because it's just a nice straight piece on this end, making it perfect. And back stitch. Sometimes I back stitch, by the way, my friends. It's very rare, but I do. All I have to do is make sure that all these seams are folded down as I come up to them because I have them in the wrong direction.
Do you find you need a scan allowance with the Essentials or Missouri Star threads? They seem to be a bit thicker to me.
Missouri Star thread is pretty much thinner than the Essentials brand to me. So no, I don't need a scant 1/4 inch with Missouri Star thread. To me, it's thinner. The Essentials thread is thicker. With yeah, you know what? The thicker the thread, yeah, you might want to take a scant 1/4 inch, but honestly, if you're taking that exact same 1/4 inch throughout a whole entire quilt, even if it was a tad bit bigger because of the thread, if you're doing that same thing continuously, you shouldn't have anything mess up. Everything should still be the size it needs to be because you were continuously sewing that same whatever, that same seam. So no matter how thick your thread was, you had that same seam continuously the whole entire time.
Can you press seams open, or is it better to press them to one side?
You can press them open if that's what you prefer. That's all on you. Like I said, the pressing doesn't really matter with this. You can press them open, press them to one side, press them to whatever, press half open, half not. I don't care. It's your quilt. The throat space is 9 inches on the Juki. It's just a little 9-inch thing. All right, bottom piece now. Just going to go ahead, right sides together, and sew this one on. And then all we have left is our outside borders, which shouldn't run us over very far on today's video. I try to keep my sew Sundays to 2 hours, and look at that. I'm almost done in 2 hours. I did lollygag at first in the beginning. So there, a 2-hour quilt. Just sewing these on. I'm going to go ahead and nest the seam that's right here. I'm going to butt them up to each other. I'm just going to hold it. Until I get down to it. Making sure everything is staying aligned, and it is. Hold it, stay. That's where pinning would probably be a good thing, but you know, I'm just not a pinner. I just don't do it. I don't know. Ooh, I created a little tiny boo-boo. Oh well, I'm gonna leave it. I'm leaving my boo-boo, because guess what? I don't care. Right here.
There's no boo-boo. Oh, you're getting picky now.
Yeah.
You are getting picky.
It's just a Christmas tree. All right, I'm gonna stick this on the wall temporarily for a moment. And we are gonna cut, we're gonna leave it sideways just like that. We're gonna sew together the 4 pieces we have left plus those scraps. So one of these strips plus one of these longer scraps. Let's see which one is longer. They're all about the same size. There we go. This one's long. We're just going to grab one of these longer ones right here. Right sides together. Sewed it there. This becomes one side, just like this. I'm just going to lay it on here where I want it and sew it on. Okay. So this is one side. You can measure and get it accurate. I'm not much of an accurate measurer. Never have been. I don't have a problem when long arming when I do this. So, all right, I'm just going to sew this on. Back stitch. But you can do it the correct way if you wish. That's all on you. I just gave you the numbers, so. And if you didn't want to use the little scrap cut-offs, you can just cut off an extra piece. So cut 16 strips of your background border, you know, instead of 15. If you didn't want to have to use all these little scraps. I'm trying not to let anything go to waste. So now I'm going to repeat that procedure with another one of these. I'm just going to grab one of these scrap pieces.
What's your dessert after the enchiladas?
Dessert is after enchiladas. I have no idea. It's probably going to be like cookies or something. So I had 2 long pieces, one for each side. Okay, so I'm going to turn this to this side now and connect this side. And then I'll press them, and then we'll do the top and the bottom, and we'll be done. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and line this up on here. I'm going to take a back stitch. Make sure everything's flat. And sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. Trying to make sure all these seams are staying one direction. When you sew the opposite way, they're underneath the base, the plate of the machine, and they tend to get hooked on the edge. And then they like naturally want to flip. So I got to hold them down and stop them from flipping. So I just get to this side where my hangover is. It's on my table. I just fold it onto itself and cut off that excess. Come on. Right there. All right, I'm going to press these sides real quick. I'm just pressing them back towards that border. It really doesn't matter at this point. As long as everything is flat. Oops, I forgot to cut off that starter piece over here. I'm just going to do that real quick off the camera because you guys kind of can't see what I'm doing right here on the side. Just need a pair of snips to get this off of here.
We're doing teamwork. I'm filling the ironing and you're cutting.
All right. That should be good just to get this done. Okay, now we're going to just do our top and bottom. Okay, and I think it was one. There we go. Sorry about the mic rubbing again. It keeps knocking down. I think it was one full strip. Nope, it was one strip and a piece. So I literally need on each of these to add one of these little pieces to each end. I was trying to remember. Yesterday I hooked them all together into one continuous piece and just did each border and cut it off as I went. All right, so let's add our top and bottom, and then I'll show you the option that that you can do for a border. I'll put all these pieces over here. If you want to add another border at this point, once this is all on, you can do that. Just to make it a bigger lap size. So I'm going to make sure that my seam is right side down right here, and I'm going to backstitch. I do backstitch all my borders on. That's a habitual habit there. It's probably the only time I ever backstitch is when I'm attaching borders, because that's my final thing where I'm always holding the quilt up and I don't want those ends to come undone. Okay, once I have it fully on the table, I will just fold this over, cut it to the size that the initial border was. Backstitch. Come to this side. Repeat. I'm not pulling or tugging on my borders, so that's what's keeping them flat. Plus, I'm my own long armer, like I said. So if I did have a struggle with putting borders on like this, I'll take care of it myself on the long arm. Pretty good at that if I have to. All right, almost to the end. And then I'm going to take this over and press it, and we'll have my second Christmas tree complete. All right. Disappear for a second. See if this one looks exactly like the last one, which I'm pretty sure it does, because besides those side 2.5-inch square pieced border, that's the only difference in both of these quilts, because none of those are in the same exact order. I probably could have done that, but they don't fully 100% match. All right, press the bottom. All right. Slide that in under there. If I don't lay it straight, that's not my fault. I can't tell which is straight and which is not on this design wall. You know? And there we have it. Ta-da! So now I have my second Christmas tree. So if I can do this in 2 hours, because I did talk for a few minutes beforehand, if I can do this whole quilt in 2 hours, I'm pretty sure you guys can all do this in under 4. So that, my friends, is 2 trees in 2 days. Because when you go Christmas tree shopping, you can't make up your mind which tree you want. Nope. Nope. So there it is, 2 trees in 2 days. Only because I needed a pattern for you guys. And the only way to do the pattern was to make another one. Instead of filming a video and editing it, you guys got this, a direct live line to me. My option here before we go was, since I did have extra jelly roll strips, here's the last of all the jelly roll strips. They were all white and brown tones and one random red one. They all match, but I didn't really, because of my background, I didn't want to do those. So you could have done something like that, use your leftover strips on the outside. But then I found this Christmas tree print, but it's directional. This would have been perfect right here as a make it bigger border. So I could have made this quilt a lot bigger by adding this Christmas tree fabric, but that means I would have had to cut it in length, halfway for the 2 sides, and then in width for the top and bottom to get it to where all the trees are facing the same direction. But if you want to make your quilt bigger, right now it is 41 and a half, I think. I wrote it down. 45 by 51 and a half. So, I mean, that's still a good lap size, baby size, whatever size. But if you need to go just a little bit bigger for somebody else in your home, add your next border. And I would say add a 5.5 inch. That way it finishes at 5. But, add a 5.5, 6 inch border. You can even do as big as what's right here and make it huge. I mean, that's up to you, but the options are endless after you get your initial tree made. So,
suggestions as to what machine set up for someone who has never used a long arm, wants to learn but don't want to spend a lot of money?
Long arms, my suggestion, if you are interested in a long arm, is to find as many stores near you that sell long arms and go play with them. So if there's an APQS next to you, go there. If there's a Gamma company next to you, although those are the 2 higher priced places, but if you have somewhere that sells handy quilters, if you're near in California to Sewing Machines Plus, go there, play with their machines. But most stores, there's Grace machines. The Grace machines, the King Quilter, like what I have, Juki machines, and the Handy Quilters are more the lower end price points. The bigger the throat space of a machine, so if you get a Handy Quilter, anything bigger than the Sweet 16 or I'm going to say Amara. Amara is going to top off right at 16,000 or so for everything basic, no computerized anything. From then on down. So anything bigger, you're looking at a bigger price. So my machine was a $10,000 machine. I don't have any robotics. The only thing extra that I got for mine, no robotics, no computer or anything. The only thing extra I got for mine was rear handlebars, and I bought a bunch of rulers and feet for my machine when I got it because it only came with 1 foot. So yeah, just you should go play with them. That's probably the best bet. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get off of here and go enjoy the rest of the movie that Scott and I started before I came live, and enjoy the rest of my evening and maybe have a snack or two. Thank you all for hanging out on Christmas Eve. Merry, Merry Christmas. And if I don't see you guys tomorrow, Merry Christmas. But I will be on sometime tomorrow. If you have your notifications on, I will be here and there will be a special guest. So I don't know what time. It'll probably be later in the day, but after we eat and stuff. But I will have a special guest on tomorrow's show. And I don't even know what we're doing. The special guest is the one that's making the decisions on that part. So anyways, thank you all for hanging out. Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Happy whatever. I don't know what you celebrate, but enjoy. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.